Hey guys, so I wanted to share with you my experiences doing the Traversée de Charlevoix. This video is more intended for my family and friends. However, if you so happen to come across this channel, welcome, and you don't have to like or subscribe because this potentially may be my first and last video. So about a week ago, I decided to do the Traversée de Charlevoix, which is an 8-day, 7-night endeavor. It's situated in Quebec, just just outside of Quebec City, in a town called Charlevoix. And this path, it actually makes up a portion of the Trans Canadian Highway, which is the longest highway that extends from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. It should take roughly 8 days, 7 nights, and the distance that it covers is roughly around 127 kilometers. Obviously, the distance may vary depending on certain alternative routes that you can take, which can shorten or elongate the distances. And I try to always choose the harder alternative routes just to challenge myself, which looking back was kind of stupid because I did not have to suffer for no reason. Going into it, I admit I went in there a little ill-equipped. Maybe that's an understatement. I remember getting there, my equipment weighed around 55 pounds. And why it weighed so heavy was because there's shelters along the way that you can stay at. However, you have to pay a lot of money to do that. And I also wanted to have a full immersive, rustic, savage camping like experience. So I decided to just bring my tent, my sleeping bag, and just sleep in the woods and not in some fancy log cabin. And that is why my bag was a little heavier than I wanted it to. The food I brought with me, a huge Ziploc bag full of rolled oats with pumpkin seeds, pine nuts, protein powder. If Shannon is watching this, she'll laugh because right before going on this expedition, I was talking to my friend Shannon, and she's like, "You're crazy. I cannot eat that on a long solo hike. I will go crazy." So she was suggesting that I dehydrate food next time and actually eat well. And I think that's what I actually will do next time. So yeah, I embarked on this hike, and from day one, it just sucked. There's a lot of elevation, uphill, downhill, and it's just never ending. Every day you're covering roughly around 15 to 20K. And I went during the season of the year where there are the most amount of mosquitoes, and the vegetation was in really, really rough condition because the snow had just melted and it was just piss pouring rain every single day. So you were just soaked from head to toe. I think I was walking in wet boots from day one all the way to day 7. And during the day, I would dry my boots. The second I put my boots on and start walking, it would get soaked again. Yes, they're waterproof. However, when you walk through the vegetation, your pants get soaked, and then the water goes into your socks, and then the boots get wet from inside out. That's basically what took place. Next time, I think I will get longer boots that go all the way to my knees. You know, those ones that you can just put over your boots. And I think I'll get better waterproof jacket because I took my dad's waterproof jacket and it wasn't waterproof, even though it said it was. I mean, I've also had it for some time. It's been worn down quite a bit. Also, yes, the food, it weighed quite a bit. So I think next time I'll draw my food to save me some pounds. The equipment. Now, I brought with me an inflatable mattress and inflatable pillow that has served me for many, many years. But on day 2, I realized that both fail to function as it should. Every time I would pump air, it would seem fine, and then I'd fall asleep middle of the night, wake up, half deflated, and then I'd have to pump air back in. And obviously the space the air creates between you and the ground, it allows for you not to get cold. And because the mattress and the pillow weren't doing its function, I was freezing. I mean, my sleeping bag was going to be able to endure as low as 5 degrees, but because my back was touching the colder ground, I was having terrible sleep. I think I would sleep like 5-6 hours a day because of the cold. It was freezing at night. During this time, even though in Montreal there's heat waves, it's super hot, in Charlevoix it's like super windy and cold. So that was also a struggle. Mosquitoes, the wet vegetation, the shitty pathway. I mean, every 200 meters there was a tree fallen, and then you had to go around it. There was a lot of porcupines too, and you don't want to get too close to them, obviously, because they're gonna freak out and just start going on defensive mode and shoot out their arrows at you. So you always had to get off path, go around them, so as to not disturb them. What else? Yeah, and then the equipment that were all broken down. I think the worst part about all this was just the fatigue. The fatigue of walking what seemed to be endless hours. I mean, every single time you think you're getting close to the finish line, it's as if someone takes the finish line and just takes it a little further away. I was just constantly being teased the entire time. It's like, oh, there's 5K left, there's 4K left, there's 3K left, and the last 2K, the last 3K, it almost felt like it was being stretched out on purpose. And it didn't help that we were going uphill a lot. Even the days where they were shorter, it would be compensated by having more elevation. Also, the solitude. I was not prepared for that. I mean, I get it. I went on a solo hike. I had this whole idea in my head that I was going to go there. It was going to be a very groundbreaking spiritual experience. I've actually been planning on doing the solo hike for many, many years. Not in this location, in Gaspésie, which is near the peninsula of Quebec. But it was closed because there was still snow. And so I just did this instead. Man, I don't think I would want to do this again. And if I do, obviously I'll be better equipped, better prepared. But man, I was this was solo hiking at its max. I think I came across 20 people in total on day 1 and day 2, because when you go into the park, it actually, the pathway, the hiking trail, it cross paths with another trail from another park. So that's when you start crossing paths with people from the other park. And that was the extent of my interactions with humans. But for the most part, I would say I was alone. I mean, I would yell, hello, hello, or say some weird, crazy shit. And I was not scared. I remember I was so bored. I didn't even bring a book. I didn't even bring a journal to write anything on, to, compartmentalize my thoughts. I didn't do any of that. I literally just brought myself my bare essentials like food and shelter, and that was it. But because I was so bored, I was losing my mind. I mean, I brought my rosary, but you can only do that so many times before it gets kind of seems monotonous, So you just literally there in your own thoughts. There's no one to share these thoughts with but yourself. So you just start talking out loud. If there was a camera around me in the woods and someone was filming me, they would think that I was losing my mind, because I was literally talking to the woods or God. And there were moments where I was super frustrated. I would yell fuck you MFers, in the woods. It's there's no one there, but I also didn't care because I knew that no one was going to hear me. Also, because there was no one around me, I mean, every single day I made an effort to maintain proper hygiene. So I would always wash myself in the lakes and the rivers and streams. So I would just go bare butt naked and just wash with no fear in the world, because I knew no one was around me. I literally had the entire park to myself. That was it. And again, I thought it was going to be a groundbreaking journey, a spiritual endeavor, but it was far from that. I mean, there were moments where I had these intense emotions surface up, you know, things of the past, things of the future, and they were very hard to deal with. It was kind of like, I would say, when I did my 11-day silent meditation retreat in Montebello, where you're alone. At least you're with people, but you just couldn't talk to them. You couldn't look them in the eye. You couldn't communicate with them, but you were around others, so it didn't feel too lonely as this hike. But again, when you're in that meditation center for 11 days and all you're doing is meditating all day, you're in your thoughts. You're in your thoughts. Try not to think. It's impossible. You were going to think, you know? It almost felt like that. You were kind of going insane. And so that's why I had to like focus on my breathing and focus on trying to be in the present moment, but easier said than done. I was going crazy. And I was missing everyone. I was missing my friends and family. I thought a lot about my family during this time. Thought a lot about my dad, my mom, my sisters. And it made me more appreciative of having them in my life. Same with my friends. In general, I would say that I'm someone very grateful. Even when things go wrong, I always try to keep a positive energy, positive light, and say, okay, well, that didn't go well, but at least I have this in my life, you know? However, I still feel like I could do a little bit more, you know? Call my family and friends more, check upon them a bit more. If there was anything I got from this experience, it was truly just that. Also reminiscing about the good and instead of the bad. Because when I was in those dark and lonely moments during the hike, and the self-dialogue, the self-inflicting dialogue started to take its course, I mean, it would just make the hike so much harder. However, whenever I would try to fight those intrusive thoughts, sorry, with good memories of the past that I've made with my friends and family, it almost countered it. So it was also a reminder that, okay, you have these tools in your day-to-day life. Whenever you're going through a shitty situation, you can always kind of override it by thinking about pleasant thoughts, pleasant memories of the past. Animals. So I talked about porcupines. There were snakes. There were beavers. Super cute. I remember I bathed in the lake. I bathed in a river. And then I left. I came back just to watch the sunset. And then I just saw a beaver. And then I was like, okay, this is so cool. I'm going to go and get my camera. And then I'm going to film these beavers. I come back, no beavers. They're gone. I was like, damn, I missed my chance. But then I was just like, hey, Mr. Beaver, if you're out there, come out and play. The second I said that, the beaver came back. And he was like coming really close to me. And then I guess he brought his mistress with him, because there was another beaver that came, a smaller one, and they were just like playing and flirting around in front of me. And I was like, oh damn, like I'm third wheeling these beavers, you know? That was really cute. I saw some beavers when I was in the peninsula up in Quebec at Gaspésie, and that was really cool too. I feel like beavers, for the most part, they're not too shy. If you're unthreatening, they'll come and just, you know, play around. I was eating one time on the trail when I was taking a break, and I thought I heard a black bear cub crying in the distance. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, because I know what black bears sound like. When I was in the military for 5 years, I spent weeks out in the woods, and there were black bears all around us, and so you get familiar with the way they sound, even if you don't see them visually, the sounds that they make, at least. Okay, so why I did 7 days and 6 nights instead of 8 days and seven nights is because of the fact that, okay, every single day I thought it was going to be better. I thought, okay, today sucks. It's really rough. However, if I push on and get through this day, tomorrow will be better. I always took every day like that. So that's why I didn't quit for as long as I did. And it just wasn't the case. Every day, the level of suck was just amplifying. It was just a cluster of shitty experiences that made me full eventually. Like, I was banged up, blistered up, cold. I was cold all the time. I was itching everywhere. The mosquitoes were just biting me like crazy. I was the only I was the only source of food in that entire park, so I'm not surprised that they all came to feast over me. And then on the sixth day, yeah, on the sixth ninth, when I got into the area where I was gonna camp out, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of being here. Like, I don't want to do another day. So what I'm gonna do tomorrow, which was day 7, I'm going to do the hike for day 7 and day 8. And I don't care if I have to leave this place at nighttime. I just want to get the hell out of here. So I'm willing to do back to back those hikes together on the same day and then get the hell out of Dodge. Take my car, which is parked just at the very end of the Traverse, and then just leave. Because what they do is when you come in, you park in the beginning of the trailway, and then you leave the key with them. They take the car and they drive it all the way to the end. So by the time you finish it, when you're done the hike, your car is already there waiting for you. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do day 7 hike and day 8 hike back to back, and then get the hell out of Dodge. It was gonna take me all day. I knew that, but I was willing to do that because I was just so fed up with this. I was fed up with being food for the mosquitoes, dealing with the wet vegetation, being wet all the time, being hungry all the time. I was hungry all the time. It didn't matter how much food I was eating. My body was just gobbling it up and just burning it like this. I was craving poutine. I was craving like fresh fruit, apples for some reason. And so on day 7, I wake up super early. It's like 4 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, let's get the hell out of here. Let's get the hell out of here. Pack all my shit. It weighs a little less than before because I had eaten a lot of granola, and that takes some weight off. And then I start hiking, and also by day 4, like, my phone is dead, so I have no GPS reference. All I have is an instructional manual sort of thing that you follow along, and it gets you to point A to point B, and it was fairly good, very descriptive. But on that day, I guess they messed up because it misled me. What ended up happening was, because I had no GPS, and because I had no GPS, I had to follow this instructional, and because it gave me the wrong directions, I ended up just running circles for like 2 hours nonstop. And I was getting fed up. I'm like, hey, what the hell? I've already been here before. Like, it just has me going in circles. And basically, later on, I found out that instead of taking a left, I had to take a right. They just made a small hiccup in their description. So thankfully enough, there were like 2 lumberjacks randomly out of nowhere just working on the side. And they're like, hey, man, like, you look lost. Like, can we help you? So they helped me. And then we come across some of their colleagues, and they're like, oh, yeah, we know about this trail. It's like famous for hikers getting lost and quitting. And they're like, are you alone? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing like a solo hike. And they're like, dude, you're crazy, bro. Like, you shouldn't be doing this alone. It's very, very dangerous, especially this time of year. It's raining every single day. It was raining every single day. That's what was driving me insane. Like clockwork. It was raining every single day, and it would not leave me alone. And there was a storm about to come, and they were like, yo, you gotta get out of Dodge. So like, they actually drove me to a safe point, and we coordinated an evacuation with the center, the headquarter of the camp, the park, and they had a guy come get me, and then get me out of the park to the finish line. And I was disappointed. I was like, you know what? I probably could tough it out another day. Or I could probably tough it out another day and finish the hike and say I did a full traverse. But, like, I'm getting nothing out of this. Absolutely nothing. I was just getting rear-ended the entire time for free. Like, it's just not worth it. Like, I took time out of work, out of my training, to come out here and enjoy nature and, have a spiritual groundbreaking experience. It was none of those things really. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what we do in the military. It's called a tactical withdrawal. When things don't seem to be going your way, there's just no sense in trying to muscle your way through, because it might lead to more unfortunate events. So that's what I did. I did a tactical withdrawal, and looking back, I'm happy I did. You know, there was momentarily I felt kind of upset. I was like, damn, I was so close to the finish line. I had to throw in the towel, but it is what it is. Live to see another day, you know? I got home, ordered myself poutine. I had 2 bags of chips. I had a chocolate bar. I ate some ice cream. I had a pizza slice. Man, my body was craving food. I had an apple. I was craving that. So yeah, that essentially summarizes my experience doing the Traversée de Charlevoix. It was supposed to be 127 kilometers. I think I still did around that, even though I didn't end up finishing the last 2 hikes, only because I took so many different like alternate routes throughout the hike that lengthened the distances. So yeah, just as I was getting out of the park, it just started piss pouring rain. There was a storm, and I'm glad I got out when I did.